Next question.
Good morning, Registrar. I have a question here. I've been hearing a few cases that the voter told us that they register early, they vote early on the first day the voter register opened. And on the Friday when they checked their status and they found out they are become a provisional voter. And they asking for the officer, the worker there, what's the reason to listing them as a provisional ballot voter? They can't really tell. So you mentioned about early yesterday.
I'm sorry. You said that they contacted my office and my staff said they couldn't tell them?
They went to the office and they talked to the people working in that office.
Go ahead and finish your question. I apologize.
Yeah. So, which means like they just told them your ballot is still in processing. So
which is correct.
So they just wanna know like how could be they register early and they vote early and voting in person, they become a provisional voter. Is it you heard anything that your worker reported to you, your system having any problem to list early registered voter become a provisional voter?
All same-day voters are provisional ballots. That's the simple answer. Their ballot will get counted once we verify that they have not voted in another county. So this report that I've been talking about for several days related to the Secretary of State, again, I have to explain that unsimilar to Colorado, Colorado has a top-down voter registration system, which means that all of the counties in Colorado bounce back and forth to one database. That's not the case in Nevada. We're a bottom-up voter registration. So all of us have to send all reports to the Secretary so that they can merge data and make sure that everything's being processed without anybody voting illegal ballots. So every single same-day registration that came through in person, whether it was early voting or election day, are provisional ballots, every single one of them. So those are in process. When I started today, I explained those 60,000 provisional ballots are being processed right now. We're going through to make sure that we've got the documentation to confirm that those voters are eligible to vote. We'll send that report to the Secretary on Monday. On Wednesday, when we begin to roll those ballots in that should be counted, then we'll have an indication that that ballot has counted. And for all voters, it's important to know, vote history is not posted until after the election.
They are not same-day registered voter. They are early registered. They register on September 21st. And that is what the system told them. They came to here, they check it, and they showing on the system they register on September 21st. They voted on October 17th, and they still become a provisional voter.
And again, when you come in, if you make an update to your registration, that's still a same-day registration. I would have to know exactly who this voter is so that I can look them up in the system, but I'll be happy to look into it to get the answer to that. But if they voted provisionally, that means that either they did an update, they voted or registered in person, or they registered online. So those would all be provisional ballots. But they will be counted once we confirm that they're eligible. Next question.
Hey, Joe. Joe Bartels, 13 Action News here in Las Vegas. In the same vein, it sounds like there's a pattern here. We asked you yesterday about any number of reports or issues you had, nefarious or illegitimate ballots. Do you have a specific number of reports you have received at this point now?
No, I do not.
Hey, Joe. John Trainer, KSNB here. Two questions for you. One, you talked about this a little bit. What is the schedule for the next update? I believe you said this afternoon. And when do you plan on getting the initial batch that you count today up to the Secretary of State?
The information on provisionals, which is what I was discussing, they've given us instructions to send that tomorrow.
Okay.
So there'll be an email coming from the Secretary's office and their staff giving us the instructions on how to get that up to them, and once they have all 17 counties, they'll begin the work. So we're hoping that by Wednesday, we'll be prepared to start the automated process of putting those ballots in that should be counted into the system.
I know this is unbelievable because the numbers haven't even been released yet, but there's already talk in Georgia and Pennsylvania and other states that have been close about recounts. Does your office automatically prepare for that, or what's the process here before a recount is called for to just get ready for one in case there is one?
Candidates have the ability to request a recount after the election. We are preparing for that. We are prepared to do the recount. The law has changed in the state of Nevada a little bit on exactly how we reimburse for those costs, so candidates will need to pay up front for the cost for us to recount, but we're prepared to do so.
What's the cost? Thing?
I couldn't tell you. It depends on the race. Next question.
Hi. So I know had said that the number of ballots that have come in after Election Day is relatively small. Do you have figures? I know you said all of those with postmarks that are after Election Day won't be counted. Do you have a figure on how many those are? And do you have a figure on how many where the postmark couldn't be determined because it was smudged or some instance like that?
No, I'm sorry, we don't have that information yet. We're completely focused on getting the good ballots counted. So after the election, we would certainly be able to give information along those lines, but we're completely focused on getting through the provisionals, the cures, the rest of our mail ballots so that we can begin the work of reconciling everything.
Mr. Gloria, as you mentioned yesterday, you all just became a mail-in ballot county this year. This is all new territory for you and your staff. So looking at this from a 20,000-foot view, is there anything that you all have identified that you think needs to be redressed going forward? And how well do you think that your staff has been able to handle all this juggling you've had to do and all these changes over the last couple of months?
That's a good question. Let me start off by clarifying and saying mail ballots are not brand new to us. Mail ballots have been available through absentee for many years in Nevada, and our processes are basically the same. The quantity of ballots that we received this year as a result of going all mail due to the pandemic, that's what changed our whole operation substantially, because we're used in Clark County to supporting a huge in-person early voting election day turnout. Voters in Clark County have clearly indicated to us that they like that process, but due to the pandemic, we had to put the mail ballot in. If you're asking for my opinion on how we've done, it's a little early for me to say, but I can tell you that my staff worked tirelessly to develop the process that we would need, how we would adjust, what additional employees would be needed, what additional equipment, all the way down to we had to create safe working environments for all these folks who have to do this manual work that we're talking about on the signature check, on the counting board, disinfectant, plexiglass screens separating the workers. There was just a massive amount of logistical things that we had to do. I think they've done an excellent job. I steer this ship, but I've got an amazing group of individuals who are working over their long hours, dealing with everything that's going on around this building. I can't say enough about my staff. We never would have made it through this without a dedicated group of people who work here permanently, the temporary people who have come in through agencies, the poll workers. It's overwhelming when I stop and think about what they've done, and I'm very proud of them.
Mr. Gloria, Orko Man with Channel 8. Can you describe how the ballot curing process has been going? Have there been any instances of certain ballots just being really difficult to kind of, get that information from, or how's the curing process going right
now? The statute is very clear on exactly what we need to do. We initially contact these voters to let them know that they haven't signed their ballot or their signature didn't match. But after that, it's up to the voter to get back to us on our hotline. But the information that they need to provide is very simple. It's an affidavit and a copy of the Nevada ID, or they can answer challenge questions to get that ballot cured. Once they've done so, it's our mandate to count those ballots. It's gone very smooth. That group has been working on a hotline, I think it's at least a couple of weeks now that they've been processing. We're down to less than 2,000, I think, open cures, so I think the process has worked well. Have a great day. Thank you all for being here.